Hi gang, happy Wednesday. I'm just gonna get right into it today. I have a competition coming up on Saturday, and a lot of the times you guys ask me how I prep for a competition and how I eat for a competition and yada yada yada. I haven't answered those questions before because I'm actually terrible at those things. I will tell you that my training volume doesn't change other than normally I rest on Thursdays, I work out Friday, Saturday, but the competition is on Saturday, so I'll work out Thursday and rest Friday instead. That's the only thing I change about my training. And also if they release the workouts beforehand, I will try them beforehand. As far as eating goes, I am very bad at this part. Between the volume of working out and how often we're working out and the nerves and the adrenaline, I'm never hungry. I don't want to eat. So I basically stick to like protein shakes, like Fuel for Fires. If you guys don't know what they are, they're like those, it's basically baby food packets. I'll eat like a lot of watermelon. It's like a lot of light foods, liquids. I probably should be eating more on those days. So, while I was at the CrossFit Games, I was able to talk to Nick Shaw, who is the founder and CEO of RP, and their newly added team member, Dr. Nathan Jenkins, about how you're supposed to eat for competition. We talked about just competition in general, but also then we compared it to the Games athletes and how they should be eating. But what Nick was saying is really the only difference is sheer volume. Obviously the games are like 5 days long, they're doing multiple workouts a day. That's much more volume that you have to be ready for than just a single day competition with maybe 3 or 4 events. So here's what they had to say.
Kind of everything is peaked and planned for this one specific event or for regionals, let's say. So really there's probably a couple main tips, tricks for competition day. We actually did a seminar with Lindy Barber a while back, and I asked her, one of the questions was going to be, just kind of describe what you eat on a normal day when you're competing. And she's like, oh no, you don't want me to give that answer. I'm kind of embarrassed of it. I don't want to talk about it. And I said, well, why is that? She's like, we're eating gummy bears and Gatorade and different things like that. And I'm like, Lindy, that's actually perfect because...
Yeah. What's there? There's nothing to be embarrassed about that.
Yeah. So on a competition day, you actually want to aim for, really high GI carbs. So GI, glycemic index. Usually that means it gets into your system quicker. Kind of correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not the professor, but that's kind of the general sense of it. So let's say you go and do first workout of the day, and you need to go again a couple hours later. Maybe it's an hour later, maybe it's 2 hours later. Maybe you have a third or fourth event, or a crazy marathon row, which we'll talk about that a little bit, how you kind of feel for that. But you want those high GI carbs to get into your system, help replenish your glycogen stores quicker than more traditional healthy carb sources.
In CrossFit, we say the needs of our grandparents and our highest level athletes differ by degree, not by kind. Well, that definitely applies to carbohydrates, right? Like the more volume you're doing, whether it's in your training or in kind of a crazy competition like this, the more carbohydrates you need.
And then, just for shits and giggles, we did talk about the marathon row because obviously a lot of us don't train for distances like that. We're not really prepared to know how to fuel our bodies for an event like that. So I asked them what they felt was the best.
So I'm thinking about, they had those baskets that look like little shopping carts. Mm-hmm. And I'd be filling those with drinks and maybe the gummy bears. It depends on what the athlete prefers, but definitely high GI carbs, something with a good bit of sugar to support the glycogen breakdown.
Yeah, something like sports drinks. Really.
Sports drinks, exactly.
What does that do for them in the middle of a row when they probably don't really want to be eating anything?
Yeah, they may not want to be eating, so I also would recommend having it in a beverage form as well. It doesn't really matter whether you eat it or you drink it, but you want some carbs. What it does for them is maintain their blood glucose levels. To get maybe just a little bit into some of the science. Well, if you are just exercising, especially when we get into the 2 hour plus time domain, if you're exercising and not taking in anything, you're going to run out of glucose. Your blood glucose is going to crash. And when that happens, your brain doesn't like it. We interpret that as, we call it hangry when we see it. You get irritable, you get cranky, you feel like shit. And so that will limit performance in that kind of endurance type event for sure.
I was just going to add one, you were talking, why you kind of want to drink stuff. So typically when you're exercising really hard, you kind of have stomach distress already going on. So if you're trying to actually eat food, and this is maybe a common mistake that some people make, you try to, eat too much food or too much carbohydrates, or, consume higher fiber foods or higher fats. That's why typically on a competition day, you want to jack up those carbohydrate levels. Protein's probably going to stay roughly about the same as normal, maybe even down a little bit. And usually fats you want to keep on the lower side because again, when those kind of get into your stomach, it can just cause some further distress. Same with actually eating, during, and I think that's why a lot of people, had all those sports drink bought nearby. And, probably a lot of our athletes had, 3, 4 shaker bottles sitting there. And then kind of the, fun part after, that's definitely fun in quotations, because most of them we're limping out of there, is it's really just a game of, how many carbohydrates can you eat that night or even the next day. Luckily they had a rest day. Trying to make up for that. So
that was well programmed.
Anyway, that's all I got for you guys today. I hope this was helpful or informative. I do apologize for the audio. It was hot and we could not turn that AC off. If you're interested in RP, learning more about it, looking at a template, looking at some of their ebooks, I do have a link in my description. That link is actually always there since they're one of my sponsors. And Jord10 will get you 10% off. That's good for always. There's way more information on their website if you're curious about it. And that's that. I hope this was helpful. Thanks for coming. See you next week.